Today I'm going to show you how to train a Connotate agent to monitor and extract the leadership team members and their bios from the Dell website. Monitoring executive leadership pages can alert you to new hires or promotions that are part of a strategic initiative, or signal when an executive function is no longer needed or that team member has decided to move on. Any of these situations can have a far deeper meaning that might impact your business or your client's business. So, to train a Connotate agent, I am going to simply open our Agent Studio desktop application. And then I'm going to open up the Dell Executive Leadership page in our Agent Studio application. As you can see here, we have our own browser. This custom browser ensures complete rendering of the page, including any Ajax and JavaScript that wouldn't be visible to you, making it so that all page elements and functions are trainable simply by navigating through the site as you normally would. Now, if we take a look at the names down here, you'll see that the name is actually a hyperlink, and that has the full bio behind it. We're going to need that later. Then there's also a title. So this is just a list of executives, and their bios are behind the names. What we do is called the web page extract. And we're going to pick a schema out of the box that's already made called executive bios. What we do now is we train our agent. This is a point-and-click exercise where we reinforce to the agent what's important to us on the page and what's not important to us on the page. So my first click is going to get everything. I'm saying this is a name. My agent isn't very smart yet. It thinks everything on the page is a name. But when I start to identify other things on the page, like the title, and then I say, hey, ignore this stuff over here, my agent learns that what it cares about are the names, which are now all in pink, and the titles, which are now all in green. And as you can see, we got them all on the page. There's a few ways to verify this. Over here, we can see that the number of names and the number of titles matches. We have 15 for each. Or, if you're a more technical person, you can hit this preview button and see the hierarchical view of the data that we just trained. And everything has a name and a title associated with it. But if you remember, just a minute ago, we said that what's really important to us is to also get the bio information. And that's behind the name here. So what we're going to do is get details. We're going to use the same schema we used before, the executive bio schema. The element that we care about is the name. And on a click, we want it to pull back the bio information. So if we click Generate Set, our agent goes out and grabs all of the bios that are sitting behind the names. As you can see, one of those pages was put into my browser. The rest of them are all up over here. This is the rest of the pages in the set. What we do now is another web page extract. We're going to use the same schema that we used before, the executive bio schema, but this time we're going to train it that this is the bio. We're going to tell it that we don't want the picture. We don't need the name of the person again. We got that on the first page. We don't want this junk on the side. We just want the information that's sitting in the middle there. That's his bio, everything that's in that nice light blue or purple color that you're seeing. So now we want to see if the agent can now apply that same machine learning to all the other pages. Let's just go to another page in the set. It looks like he didn't get it quite right. So we're going to add a little more training here, telling my agent what to ignore and what to include. And it seems like now he's trained on this page. Got to give it a few examples sometimes. It's important to do that. Let's check another page. In this case, he got some extra lines in here. He could leave that, but I'd prefer not to. So I'm going to do a little more training here and there. Again, looks pretty trained. Let's check one more page to see how we did. And it looks like Our agent looks like he understands now. He understands that he just wants the pieces of text that are sitting in this area here that is the bio. Perfect. He's not grabbing any images, any extra information like the name. He's just grabbing the bio now. So what we're going to do is we're going to save our agent. We'll just call it exec bios and put it on our machine. And now what we're going to do is run the agent, because I want you to see how the results would come back to you. Now this isn't quite a production-ready agent, but it is going to let you see and understand that everything you trained your agent on is going to come back to you in a nice structured format, and you'll be able to put that into production once you go into the library. Now important to note here is that I did all this training without having to look at the source code. I didn't have to look at any of the HTML that sits behind the page content. I simply interacted with the content that any site visitor would see on the page. The other piece to the platform is Agent Library, and we're not going to demo that today, but the library is where you would go in and schedule your agent to run. Perhaps you want this to run every week, every month, every day. You can do that in the agent library. You can also do other things like some pre-processing, normalization, and transformation. You could also be doing other things like turning on change detection. For example, you may only want the new people that were added to the executive bio page. So what you can see here are the results. And it defaults to the hierarchical view, where you see the nice structured layout of name, title, and bio for each person. But we also have things that are a little bit easier to consume. In this case, there's an HTML table, and you can see that there's a column for name, title, and bio in each one. And each of the people on the leadership team gets their own row in this HTML table. For those of you who want to take this information and simply pass it through to something else, we also have an XML. So there you have it. That's how you would interact with Agent Studio to train a Connotate agent to identify, monitor, and extract the executive bios from a web page. It's a relatively simple concept that I trust was illustrated nicely in the demonstration, and it hopefully walked you through an agent training and conveyed the process and level of technical expertise required to interact with the Connotate web data extraction platform.